Hey, I'm your host, Michael, here for Dialogue 340. Already know we're back in our location, sponsored by Leisurely. Get to Leisurely for all your event and rental needs. I am joined to my left by,
Abdullah.
Renel. Nazaira.
Anthony.
and we, the generation of the Virgin Islands, are here talking about a segment called Are We the Future? Where we're talking about, are we truly being prepared to take on leadership roles? Are we just watching from the sidelines or existing? Do young people have the support they need to actually get involved in the Virgin Islands? And are we preserving our identity as Virgin Islanders, or are we changing? So I guess our first topic is, are young people leading or existing? Are young people in the Virgin Islands being given the real leadership opportunities? Are they waiting for permission to actually join? So I guess to go around the room, I'm gonna shoot this question. Are young voices actually included in decision making, or are they ignored? And I'm actually gonna shift it over to Anthony.
I think we're starting to get involved, or we're starting to be allowed to be in the room, but there's still a struggle. Like for me, even being nominated to serve on the board, being confirmed, I had to fight to even get in the room to be a part of that conversation, and that shouldn't be, because if we look at our current political landscape, a lot of the individuals that are serving right now, they're not going to be here in the next 30, 50 years. So young people need to be a part of the conversation, and we're starting to see that. Like, we have Imani Daniel and Ruda Hodge on the 6th Constitutional Convention, myself on the board. So we're starting to see some young people get in the conversation, but voices still have to be recognized. And to be honest, we have to push that ourselves. I don't expect them to recognize us, especially when we're the lowest voting bloc in the territory.
I completely agree with you, Anthony. But I think there's a large part where we're forcing ourselves into the room. And then by the time we get into the room where decisions happen, where change is made, we're voicing our opinions, but they're being ignored and dismissed as you are youth. So if I'm already here, I've already fought to be here, I've already fought to tell you how I feel, giving you advice, giving you suggestions for change, and you dismiss it because you know better, then how do we continue to move forward?
I could agree with Anthony and Nazaira. I believe that, yes, we are given the opportunity. Well, yes, we do have to fight for the opportunity. I believe the opportunities are now, I would say, expanding, for lack of better terms. Or I should say increasing. That's what I should really say. The opportunities are increasing. However, I don't think... I think it's kind of like a game in a sense. It's like, okay, yeah, I'm going to let you in the room. But like Nazaira said...
You're just here for style.
Yeah, you just
Cannot
here
show me.
so that we could look like we're involving you guys, you know? It's not necessarily like, for example, like, hey, Miss Armstrong, what year did you come out of high school? How do you feel about what's going on right now? What do you think we can do to get where we want to be? It's never that. It's more so like, oh, yeah, you could join the meeting. Just listen to what's going on.
Yes.
And that's as far as it goes. And I feel like as young individuals, we're not being able to express our thoughts on our feelings and just voice our opinions and everything that we have going on, because, yes, we are there, but that's as far as it goes. So to answer you, I feel like we are kind of just existing, but it's the way that they package it to make it seem as if like sweet, you are part of everything, don't worry. But when it really comes down to it, you don't have no kind of, what you say doesn't really matter.
I agree completely with all of you all. Yes, they are including us as young people, as we, the future leaders of the Virgin Islands. But like you all said, it's really, a part of it feels like we're just there for style. Like, yeah, we're included, but you're just there just to show, just for show. So you all made a valid point where we have to fight to get in the positions we're in, but the fight doesn't stop there once we're in. We have to continue fighting and making sure that our voices are heard and that our opinions and our viewpoints are involved in the decision making for our community as we move forward. So the fight doesn't stop once we get in, and the fight needs to continue. We just really need the courage and the understanding to continue fighting once we reach those roles or those positions or those board positions or members.
I would say the support too, because I mean,
Yes.
you get there, but then it's like,
You're on your own.
yeah, you're on your own versus like 50 something older individuals who have been in said position or multiple positions to
Yes.
assist them with what they're dealing with currently. Whereas the mindset of what I've experienced is like, okay, you want to be here? Cool. Now you're here.
No
Now
hush.
what?
No hush.
Now what?
Like,
Yes,
yeah.
yes.
It's like, do a trick.
And a
Or
big-
don't do nothing at all.
A
Like,
big part is our elders are not easy cookies here in the Virgin Islands. Like it's their way or the highway.
Yes.
So it's like you get in, you fighting for your voice to be heard, but to them it's just like
Noise.
noise.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's just like noise.
So then we've created an environment that's oftentimes ignorant or not choosing or choosing an easier route rather than a harder route, which is to actually get young people more engaged. Because I could sit here and say that there's a small percentage of Virgin Islanders that are our age group as young people in the Virgin Islands that are actually wanting to get involved, want to be a part of bigger things in the Virgin Islands, to actually change the Virgin Islands to be a more modern metropolis where you can actually have a coexisting economy, great tourism product, but at the same time you're able to bring everybody together. I'm more of a nationalist when it comes to the Virgin Islands because I believe it's for the people, by the people, with the people. Yeah, it could be a transplant, but
All of it.
it starts with you, me,
It's that-
everybody.
All of
Yes.
it.
Especially in this generation because
Exactly.
we're aware we
sure.
live. I mean, yesterday or this week they put out an article talking about an aging population and that
Yes.
really and truly
We
it's
here.
yeah. It's like it's exactly what Renelle is saying. Is like it's like a box where they put you in the situation where sometimes it's merely about being a photo op or seeing that like you're for it, not so much like you want a young person to be involved. There's times when you're in a room and you don't know if you should speak and you
Yeah.
want to, but you know if you speak,
Right.
someone gonna tell you, I ain't too sure about that. And I think it has to do with an environment that we created where we're not necessarily moving towards realizing that you're gonna need younger senators, you're gonna need maybe a younger governor, or you're gonna need younger people involved on certain boards. But it also opens up the question to experience, because then that becomes the argument. You're
Yes.
not experienced enough, or you don't have that knowledge capacity.
But see, it's
That's
like, how much times are you gonna hit us with that?
Right.
How much
Every
times are
time.
you gonna come and tell me I don't got experience or I don't got this much level of experience in this field, so I just need to stay in the room and be quiet and pay
That goes
attention and
back
listen.
to the support that Renelle mentioned. We need support. So there's definitely a lot of youths in the community who want to be things like start coalitions, who want to be active in, let's say, Senate or government. But we get there, you're finally there, and everybody just leaves you alone. So I'm here, but I don't know how to do this process because nobody told me. Because everybody is guarding information that could help me prosper to continue to push my community, push my home. If I create, let's say, a bill, I'm trying to write a bill. I'm writing it, but nobody in the room tells me this is the approval I need. I need to go here to get funding. So if I'm figuring it all out by myself, I'm always going to be behind the curve. I always have to try to catch up with people who have generations of knowledge of me on me that won't share.
Exactly. And we're always hit as the upcoming generation as from our elders. When it was my time, I didn't have no
Right.
help.
And that's what
I didn't have no help. I did it on my
And that
own.
is the ex-
And I'm like, yeah, but it was your time. Your time was completely
help
different.
me.
right.
Exactly.
Your
And
time
I
was
was-
completely different than mine.
I
So
was
either
itching
you're
to
gonna
say
help
that
me,
so bad.
it's either you're gonna help me or you're gonna get out my way and let me do it my
And
way.
you see, and they take offense to that when you
Exactly.
deciding to stand up for yourself and do for you. Like you ain't trying to help me, but then you mad because I helping myself.
So,
like
no, it don't work
don't
so.
make sense. And I really feel like it and not even feel it is a serious problem here in the Virgin Islands where
It is.
you have individuals that know who you are. They might know you personally. They might not even know you personally, but they are aware of your achievements. They are aware of your skill set. And they will stand up there. Oh well, you know
know.
what? Like what?
Yes,
What? Like
yes.
you're
Tell me something, please.
Then it's like, oh well, you just a little overqualified, and we want you want what? Like you want somebody that you know that you could control because they don't know no better. Like, is that what you really want, or you want somebody that can come in and make a change and like force the change? And I feel like that's a very like prevalent issue here with the older generation. They don't want the change because they're comfortable with how things
Yeah,
are.
yeah.
Because it's like, oh, my friend Sandra to walk in that office, so I don't know, like.
It's like
No,
they
it don't
hold
work
us
like
in
that.
their image
Right.
without letting us be ourselves.
And it's like it's highly unfair because now you have 1, 2, 3, 4. Now you put a comma behind that 4, like and it's just
Ongoing
like
cycle.
yeah,
Yes.
it's a never-ending cycle of just I don't want to use the word stupidity, but I would say
Arrogance.
ignorance, arrogance, ignorance, entitledness. Like it really is all of that because it's like, what are you gaining from gatekeeping this information? You're not going to work in the government until you die. I promise you. And if you do that, then kudos to you.
Kudos to
But
you.
what are you gaining by withholding information that can better the community that you're literally living in? It makes no sense to me.
Exactly.
Like you're gonna sit there, and I watch it time after time, and it's like honestly, I ain't registered to vote in the Virgin Islands, but my reasoning for not being registered to vote is because what am I voting for? And that's my honest opinion. What am I voting for? I voted for my mother friend. No, that don't make no sense. It don't make no sense to me.
Doesn't.
It never
Doesn't at all.
has from elementary school. And what really gets me is that like everything down here is a mind game because the senators
Yes.
would come to the elementary schools
Yes.
and it's like
Bring that home and tell your mom.
and it's just like a noise making competition. It's like who got the most noise making for them, and it's like really what's going on? Like I remember sitting down in Alexander Henderson, and that's not even a school anymore. And
So sad.
Chucky Hansen would come and like I can't remember their
Everybody
name.
would come.
Everybody he had
See,
a
we don't even remember their
Uzi-
names.
Uzi had a song like they're coming and they're playing their songs and it's like everybody jumping up and yeah, but what happened to the individuals like me who yes I am young but I want to learn, I want to understand, and
Exactly.
you're not doing that for me because all you're doing is coming and giving out pencils and telling us to
You're
scream
not
for
giving
you.
me any
That-
policies.
and now we get to junior high and it's the same thing, and then you get to high school and it's the same thing. So now you come out of school, you come out of the education system in the Virgin Islands and you're extremely uneducated about politics and how to move forward, and then you come back and it's like, oh well, vote for this person, this my friend, yeah,
Because I saw her
even-
post.
right.
And I have experienced it myself because it was even down to the last run we did when I went to go vote, and my younger brother, he just came up to me. He's like, "Did you vote for number 5?" I'm like, "Big man." I'm like, "Yo, who's number 5?" I was like, "I don't know, but in school they told us number 5."
It was just whatever sign was outside of his school.
It's like in school they told us number 5 and they gave us a shirt or something. I'm like, dude, I don't know who number 5 is.
It's a
Leave me
problem.
alone.
It's a problem because I ran for the board of elections, and I ran last year actually, and it was an interesting journey because, like I said, I was the youngest to run for position in the past 20 years, and people,
to you for
yeah, thank you, and people were like, "Do you know what you're getting yourself into?" And I'm like, yes, because young people don't vote, but it's not because we don't want to vote, it's because of how
don't
the
know.
system is, and we don't know how to vote. Like, there's a whole education aspect of how to vote. Look at somebody's policies, look at how their platform, what they stand for. Like, we just make it a music contest, who get the best jingle, and then that's really it.
Who
And
got
I
the
was
best
like, I'm
fish
not
fry?
coming. Exactly, and I'm not coming
that's who
in
gonna win.
to do that. So, and I got a lot of pushback. I wasn't successful, but guess what? I got nominated for 2 boards, confirmed for one, and I'm waiting for the other one. So it's just like,
I'm so sorry. I love this.
like, you're not gonna limit me from achieving goals, and that's what young people are starting to do now. They're starting to be like, well, we're voting for individuals. They're not making a change, so we have to make it ourselves. And
Right.
the interesting thing is, somebody mentioned about bill. I think it was Nazira, and we were talking about how to draft a bill. There's actually something called the Legislative Youth Advisory Council, and I was a youth chairperson of the council. And basically, it teaches young people how to become the next set of senators, how to draft bills, how to propose them, how to talk to senators to get it on the floor. And it's been inactive, and it still is inactive. And young people are missing out on the experience. We even have the Youth Commission that's been inactive for decades. And then even talking about the governor just recently did the Millennial Council. He announced some members, and then I haven't heard anything since. So
We have so many. We have coalitions. We have institutions. We have organizations that are supposed to primarily serve the youth and grow them and build them into our next leaders, and they're inactive or we don't know about them.
But do you know why? And that's a tough question. Between the men in this room, this is a very stark contrast between a Virgin Island, a male, and a Virgin Island, a male. You get a set again, that don't vote because like me voting at all or this and the black. And then you got people like Anthony, myself, or Abdallah that actually are active in the GVI and moving towards trying to gain as much experience as possible and actually want to be involved. And then you have that set that are, like you said, you sure, like when they ask you that same question, are you sure you know what you're getting yourself into? And oftentimes it isn't about what I'm getting myself into.
Think so.
It's that you want that mentorship and then you also want to give back to your own home. Because between us, I'm sure we oftentimes feels like our home is dying out. Things are closing, things are going away. We're losing institutions that have been like long-standing in the Virgin Islands. All those different coalitions. I remember there was a word they used when Chucky Hansen passed away, Herculean, and it sticks with me for a reason. And that's because that was an era when politics was politicking. Like you couldn't try to get a seat even if you wanted to because these people were like larger than life itself. They were hounds, like you could not. It was like Herculean. You could not. If you tried to even challenge, your mind actually
right away.
exactly you'd lose.
Yes.
But now we're in a system in the 36 where it's a very different Senate compared to last year. Next year we're heading into a massive election, which is for governor and for
it's gonna be huge.
the Senate. So it's gonna be huge next year to know who we and then
our boards.
exactly.
Don't forget
And the
to vote
boards.
for our boards.
Yes. That part.
We're ending an administration and heading into a new one with even more questions. We're in a Trump presidency, so presents a very interesting balance between tug and pull.
Yes.
So it's a constant reminder that even to the Senate and to people involved on the board that are a little older than us, they serve lifetimes upon lifetimes, more than we have lived yet.
Yes.
But
to
you
be
just
involved
said
in these
something
things.
very important. You just said tug and pull, and we're going into this new transition. But where do we fit in?
Right.
Where do we fit in this new transition as the
Just
young
can't
people
talk and pull the
coming up?
post.
I don't think there's an answer in there. What did you say? There's an answer in the soup. I think we talk about young people a lot. Like people talk about young people a lot.
That's a campaign speech.
Exactly. But I personally do not feel like once a vote is in, it's back to
that.
business as regular. I don't think we give as much attention. We don't ask the right questions.
I feel like we talk
'Cause we know
about
we don't know better.
young people, but we aren't talking to young
Yep.
people.
Yep.
And that's something
Beautiful.
that I realized during my reign because I went to these schools and you talking to these junior high kids and they're like completely disconnected
Yep,
from a
from
lot
the world.
that's going on.
And
And
from
it's
here
like
alone.
when you ask them, they have this like, well, that got nothing to do with me.
Exactly
I'm
that.
young and I get it, because we were all there.
You're young one.
But
Yeah.
we're the new
Still
adults
young.
now.
We're still young.
Yes.
guys.
Like we're the new adults, right? And you have these kids that are coming up behind of us, and if we're here every day with question marks above our head, what gonna happen to them? And nobody talks, like when I tell you guys, nobody to sit down and take the time to talk to these kids. They talk at them, they talk about them, but nobody sits down and really takes the time to talk to these kids and ask them like, hey, what are you like interested in? How do you feel about the community that you live in? Because really and truly, a lot of them is like, I don't care. When I done, I go into the States anyways. Like that's
I just
not
want a
the
Gucci
end
chain.
all
That's all they care
of
about.
That too. Like
That's the biggest problem because
We're
they're
living in a
misled.
different era.
we
We're
live
living in a
very
big different era.
Americanized
Yeah.
era. These
Yeah.
kids are very, very, very Americanized. They're very, I gotta use the word, they're untouched with our culture. And they really are. They really are. Like there really is a really big disconnect, and I feel like it's not gonna get better from here unless we do something about it. And the
Yes.
sad part about it is that you have generations like pushing us back, like, no, don't change it, don't
Yes.
change it. We good, and it's like we're not
No,
good.
we're not.
You good, cause you probably about to like yeah, but
You about to
we're
go
not
down.
good.
We're not
I have to
good.
stay here.
Yeah,
not
like
good.
I still got another 50-something years under my belt. I gotta live through this because I don't want to live anywhere else. Like
Exactly.
if I have the choice, which I do, I don't want to live anywhere else.
So I have a background in education, and I completely agree with you. There is a difference in talking to
Yes.
and
Talking
talking at.
yeah,
And
Yeah.
there's also talking with.
With,
And we
exactly.
leave that out a lot. Because talking to, I could speak life into you. I could teach you. I could
And I guess
try to
that's
meet
more
you.
so what I was trying to allude to, the talking, like just conversing with them.
Me too.
Period.
Exactly.
It's
Yeah.
everything doesn't have to be I am here and you are here, because I am learning constantly.
Exactly.
Children are learning. You've been here. This is your first time being here. This is my first time being here
Right.
too. I still don't know. So we're trying to figure it out. But it's
Learning
hard
doesn't
to
stop.
Huh?
Learning never
It
stops.
doesn't.
So it's hard to try to meet someone where they are if you are talking from a standpoint of I already know this, I already been here, I already done
And
this.
that
Then
standpoint
how can
right
I learn
there,
from you?
that's where like the entire older generations of the Virgin Islands are, and then we're here like, okay, but all I do is ask you a question, and they're like really defensive,
Yes.
and it's like, what are you defensive about? Because I want to
I'm
survive.
trying to
Like,
I'm
God
trying to
forbid I
seek some
survive.
guidance.
Exactly,
From you. I'm trying to seek some knowledge and guidance
Right.
from you,
I've
so I
always
know how to
asked-
move forward.
I always ask the question, like, say I was supposed to gain, like, I've asked a question to somebody before, and I say I had your job. How would I know how to do your job? I want advice from you, but you're not gonna give it. Who's gonna teach me to
You
be
just
able-
figure it out.
Exactly,
No.
and I hate that sometimes because if you start to, if I think if the older generation really understood that there are young people in Virginia that would gladly put their feet in your shoes and walk in your steps, but they don't have an idea as to
Where
Where to
proper,
start?
exactly
Where to
like
start,
what,
yeah.
what's
Who to
like
start,
what's
who to
proper
talk to.
like exactly what's proper procedure, how do I, like, if I have this issue, and I think they put up a wall sometimes where again the argument comes, I didn't have it, you figure it out, but then the argument comes that you from a different generation where they want to be, it's not about being soft or coddled or entitled, it's more about that you want to make sure that you can avoid the mistakes that have been made, you like to bring forth change, and change is very hard in Boston. Then old people will fight you for decades.
I feel like
For
they
decades.
don't want the reason, and this could just solely be my opinion. I feel like the reason why they give pushback is because it's like, well, I didn't get to figure it out, so guess what? Nobody going to figure it out.
But you said a
We gonna
valid
suffer.
point. You said a valid point. They want that sort of control.
Right.
Yes.
They want that sort
to-
of
they
control.
can't do it without me.
Like
They
how much?
can't do it without me.
Exactly, and then how much times must I prove myself to you,
you.
that I know what I'm doing, or I have an idea of what's going on? I just need you to allow me to have that extra step to grow and to move forward.
You and to top all of that, I mean, quite frankly, you already failed at the mission. So like, why you
But my
trying to-
point,
100%.
Like,
Let me
You're
learn from
failing.
you. Let me learn
Exactly.
so we
I'm
can
trying
move.
to like Mikey said, I'm trying to avoid the mistakes that you made.
Exactly.
But here you are, like, forcing me to make the mistakes so that I could, like, have to figure it out on my own. What's the solution? When it's like, okay, well, you know, this is where we've been. This is what we did, and it didn't work out. So you could start from here and go forward. But
Moving
no,
backwards.
they want you to go back to everything that they did from the start. And do it all over again
Yeah.
to go through the same mistakes so that you could, like, it don't make no sense. It don't
No, it
make no
doesn't.
And
sense.
even for it in perspective, we know 2017 hurricane.
Yes.
It's now 2025. We can ready to hit 2027.
And we still recovering.
I think
Yes.
we still recovering.
Still.
That's always a fear in my mind. There's always a fear in my mind. Like, I had to tell Richard all the time, Darren all the time, our other co-hosts. It's like I have the fear that we're gonna end up having a movie called The Last Virgin Island, where we gonna sell out, and it's just going to become this
This absolutely
like
is.
application home for other people that's not us.
There's
Yeah.
no locals, no natives.
There's a last, and I keep saying this,
Yeah,
St. Croix.
perfect.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
St. Croix is truly a gem, and
It
half
is.
the time we forget that it is, and it's hard to get people involved in a community that's aging, that do not want change. It is hard to see your home just continue to
And
deteriorate.
it's not even just
Deteriorate.
us; it's the entire Virgin Islands on a whole. Like it's all of us, and it almost raises, like, and I'm gonna keep saying, like, these big question marks above your head, because it's like, you would think that we just down here running free, no government, no structure, no nothing.
nothing.
And
Just,
some people, and that is something people to really think, and that's why I tell people we are not like Little Mermaid, we are not under the sea and steel pans. We were real people with real
living
issues.
life.
living
We
day
don't
to day.
vacation 24. We have to go to
Exactly.
work. Like,
Yes.
we have to go to work. I have to pay the bills at the end of the day.
Like, yeah, I live where you vacation, but when you go back home, I
still here.
I still here. I
Yep,
still got to figure it
exactly.
out.
Exactly.
And that's why I say for people like Anthony, it's amazing to watch, to see that like you again, like, over 20 years. That is insane to consider. And if
Thank
you
you.
list the different amount of programs and youth coalitions and all these different things that used to be affected and no longer, we have to find a way, and not so much as to if you want to be a part of this administration or not part of that administration, or you are Republican or Democrat, but finding ways to bring everybody together under one roof.
Stop dividing.
Exactly.
Yes.
Definitely.
And start realizing we have to push forward. Or what Mali used to say, what is it to inherit the world if you lose your soul? Like, I don't want that for the Virgin Islands. I want to see a Virgin Islands that's for the people, by the people, with the people. I always said that on the podcast. No, because for me, I see the Virgin Islands, especially St. Croix, to be a place for commerce, wealth, and economy for the people, by the people, with the people.
I feel like we're very much.
We are target.
Yes.
No,
By
I
a
was
lot.
going to say, I was going to say, I feel like we're very much capable of self-sustainability. It's just,
The matter of
and I don't want to say this like this, but there's a serious just wipeout that needs to happen. Like, the whole and just
Cleanse.
just clean up
Just
shop,
a
just
cleanse.
kick everybody out, clean it up, and just bring in younger individuals. I'm not gonna say young people. I'm gonna say younger individuals, because there's people that are older than us or younger than them, and they know what they're doing as well.
Yes.
They done been to school in the States, got put in a couple years in the States, come back home, have the experience, or probably stuck in the States because they don't have the opportunity
There's nothing to
come
come
home.
Exactly. Yeah.
And so I feel, like I said, I feel like we are very much 100% capable of self-sustainability. It's really just the people that are in charge is the issue. And if
Yes.
I am 26 and I could sit on here and I'm telling you that for elementary school, I've been watching our political stage. Cause that's what it is. It's a stage because it's a show. It's a comedy show. That's really what it is. And it's almost, not even almost, it's shameful. Cause it's like, this is our leaders? Like, oh,
Some of them still leading today.
and this is the problem. This is the problem. You see, and I am a stickler for young people. Like, I have nothing against the older community, but
No, you gotta
Thank you,
respect
you
them
did
and
the thing.
appreciate
Yes.
them, but
you
like,
can go, like,
it's
but
my
it-
turn. It's
With
our
that,
turn.
I think we need to include the large aspect of culture. We're talking about
Yes,
St. Croix in
culture.
particular, right? You know the saying, the grandma ain't grandma ain't no more?
Yeah.
I grew up, this is something I am so thankful for. I think about it every day. I grew up with 5 of my great-grandparents and all of my grandparents. All of my grandparents are still alive. I just lost my last great-grandparent, right? So for me, my friends love to tell me I'm a little old lady. The things I just say, the words, because I grew up around them. I grew
Yeah.
up in a yard. I grew up playing. I grew up carving calabash and doing this and cooking on coal pots. I learned how to do these things. And now I have a brother who is 7 years old, and I am trying to cultivate these experiences for him. But I don't want to just cultivate them for him. I want all of the children to have these opportunities, because in growing up, we're growing, we're learning, we're becoming more Americanized. We're learning what the masses are learning, but we're losing our individuality. We have so much to offer in terms of culture, so much things that we did that we don't know why we did them.
And I
Yes.
will piggyback
Yes.
on that for sure, because even down to, and like you say, your brother is 7. Rising Stars starts at 10 years old. And I mean, your ideal ending age is 17, 18, because that's when you're coming out of school. And I go there almost every day on my lunch break, and I go there sometimes after work, or just to pop up. And I'm looking at the numbers, and
They're going down.
when I was at Rising Stars, we had to stop people.
That
from
trailer was
sending
full. It was-
applications in just for summer camp. Like, we had to cut it off. And I believe a couple days ago, I asked, like, how many kids are in this band? And they're like,
10.
40. Oh God.
Oh.
Dala, not too much, not too much, not too much. I don't get sensitive about them. Not too much, please.
And they was like 40 something, 50 something, and I was like, whoa, like, that's bad. And that's the band. Like,
And a lot of them are older now. It's
Yeah.
not
and the
like-
thing about it is, and it goes back to the conversation of talking with these kids. When you talk to them, and it's like, hey, this going on right? Instead, I'm like, I don't want to go to that. That's
Yeah,
boring.
yeah.
That's so lame. Like, who does still
Schools.
play steel pan?
Schools play a large part in that. I've learned I've danced quadrille for 10 years. I learned
I
that
love
in
quadrille
Alfredo.
in elementary school.
I played steel pan. I learned that in Alfredo. I did so many things.
Yep.
Last year, I learned to walk on stilts because I was like, I always wanted to be a Makojumbi, so I'm going to be a Makojumbi. It's there's always something to learn, but it's harder to learn them because they're less accessible. I didn't have to leave school to learn cultural skills. My mother was a teacher. Yeah,
Parents don't push the culture as well. They really don't.
definitely. When my mother was a teacher, Virgin Islands History Month was like any month. I remember she would every Friday for the whole school year. Her students was cooking. They were outside making chicken and johnny cake, making fritters. They were learning these dishes. They were planting. They were doing so many cultural things throughout the year. In school, to this day, you could ask me about the wars. I cannot tell you who fought in what war. But give me a time of Virgin Islands history, and I could tell you
anything.
this key figure was my little brother. I make him read that umbilical cord. I have the textbook. I make him read it. That's homework because he's not getting it in school. But this was my history. I didn't learn American history. I learned my history.
And especially now that VA history and Caribbean history is not mandatory on the high school level at all anymore. My ninth grade year was the last year that VA history was made.
No, bro, mine.
It was? Because I know after... Oh, you're right. It was yours. Yours was the last year that... Because after mine, I know there was... My ninth grade year, the conversation was happening like, okay, this is going to be the last leg of teaching VA history in the schools. And then your ninth grade year, it was just like,
And we're absolving them. Virgin Islands history and Caribbean history were two separate things.
Yeah. And they
now we're grouping them, and then now it's just history. That's a lot to cover.
It is. And then on top of that, you have to... The entire Caribbean on a whole is like the Virgin Islands portion of Caribbean history. It's not like it outweighs.
It's so crucial.
It's kind of like, in a sense, like the rest of the Caribbean kind of sort of outweigh us when it comes to the historical part.
Like when everybody starts to say Haiti is the first place, I say no.
Right. Then you gotta bring up like, oh, well, we had the St. John Revolution. They're like,
don't forget about my good sis.
Yeah.
Our childhood has definitely changed, and like most of my students are 3-4 years, some 5 years apart from me. And like when I tell them about my childhood stories and like riding bike, and like I used to try to escape to leave the house to go outside, like that's not even a thing anymore. Right. Children are stayed on their tablets inside. Like parents have to force them to get outside, and that's why I agree when y'all said about parents have to be getting involved in getting the children to learn the culture, because it's disappearing. Like even when I mention restaurants that I grew up with or I was around, my students watching me like, what are you talking about? Yes, and Harvey's, and like I tell them these are restaurants that was here and they were a part of our culture, and they don't even know what that is, because we are allowing the outside to come in and change our culture, and that shouldn't be. They're supposed to help make the place better, but not direct how our culture should be. And because to me, culture is a living thing. It's a breathing thing. And when you start to lose your culture, you start to lose your identity, you start to lose yourself. And then you don't know what direction you want to take the Virgin Islands to, because you don't know. You don't know what the direction was. And so that's where we have to play a role in continuing to have our culture present. And not just celebrated 1 month of the year, but every month of the year.
That point that you made, I think we need to really focus on, because, like you said, children are being forced to go outside. When we were younger and we went outside, there was an adult out there.
Yes,
there was somebody. There was
not all the time, but we made it out.
Yeah, but we figured it out.
We figured it out.
But there was a structure to, even if it didn't look like one, there was a structure of what to expect. We know how to play red light, green light, because somebody showed us how to play. I can't just send the child outside and tell him play it. And
because these parents are not going to ask you what it like them there.
Yes, yep.
A big problem is that we don't understand is you guys made valid points. It does start at home, and the parents teaching their children the culture and teaching them everything. But at the same time, you can't blame these young parents or these parents who are working 2 jobs and they come home from a 8 to 5 from a demanding job and they just give their child a tablet. Don't get me wrong, it's awful. Exactly. But at the same time, if I have a demanding job in a society where I'm just working to survive, where I'm one paycheck away from
But then this
Yes.
is where the after school programs and all of these extracurricular activities that
Need to
we
be
have
in
that we
place.
are
Exactly.
not in touch with anymore, or we should say we're not connected to anymore, they don't exist. That's where these come into play.
Also, we just need a living wage.
Yes.
I mean, aside from the wage, when we talking about the kids and like, yes, my mother don't have the energy to deal with me, but when I was growing up, school is from what 8 to 3, and then,
And then
what,
3 to
there's
5, I was
right.
doing
from
something.
3 to like 8, 9 o'clock at the Rising Stars, because after school is 3 to 5, and then practice is 5 to 8, 5 to 9. So it's like my mother have that time from 5 to almost 10 o'clock to like, okay, cool. This is what I gotta do. This is what going on. Like, you know, to deal with yourself, so that by the time I come home, you don't have that stress on top of you. And that's where I was going
Those
with it.
transitional periods.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
you don't have that, and so it's like it's always a constant on edge. You always on edge because it's like you probably doing it by yourself. My mom was a single mom, so she doing it by herself. She have me. I have all of this going on, you know. But in that time period, okay, I know from here to here, and this day, and this day, we're not gonna be to practice. So I could figure out life during that time.
I can
on
get
those
this
days.
done, so when I see her,
Right.
I am not stressed. I'm not
Right,
worried about
and
it.
I feel
Exactly.
and having a stressed parent, it takes a lot on the child as well.
Yes,
And then
it does.
you do have activities because there's soccer, soccer teams in the schools
Sports,
and out the
sports,
schools,
yeah.
you know. But then you don't have a supportive parent because they don't have the energy to support you. So now as the child, you like, man, I mean, even want to do this no more because everybody else mother to come, everybody else father to
Yeah.
come, like, but mine don't come. So it's a lot,
It's a double.
right?
Yeah.
There's so much factors that are in place just as a whole that need adjustment, that need to be implemented.
Which goes back to what Nazaira said about the Liverpool wage, because
And
Yeah.
it do.
But it's a double-edged sword also because we've caused these predicaments to come up constantly every.
So you guys gotta let the young people make decisions so that we can check each
And tell her your parents stop voting for their friends.
Ladies and gentlemen, this has been Dialogue 340. I'm joined by
Abdullah?
Renel.
Nazaira.
Anthony.
Anthony. Tell the people about yourself.
Yes, so I'm the founder and executive director of the Community Centers for the Arts and Academics of Virgin Islands. It's a nonprofit that serves students ages 5 to 17 in the areas of arts, academics, sports, and trades. I'm currently a 4-year teacher. I've been teaching for the past 4 years at St. Joseph and then at Free Will. And then I just got confirmed to the Board of Career and Technical Education. And I'm currently waiting confirmation for the Juvenile State Justice Advisory Group Board.
All right, so again, this has been Dialogue 340. It has been great to have this conversation. I think we can have a part 2 later down the road and come back again and deeper dive into everything once more. Fun fact, I didn't have to even cover anything else in my script because they literally flowed with the whole thing, so I'm really happy. This is a great conversation. It's interesting to hear everybody's different viewpoints and to come together to really have a conversation. Hopefully, I know this one might ruffle some feathers. It may cause some conversations on social media, but that's what we like to do. Fight Darren in the comments, of course. And we will see you guys on our next episode. This has been Dialogue 340.